Let me tell you about the liberation that comes from disappointing people on purpose. Someone might be upset. Let them. Their disappointment is not your emergency. When you skip the party, you might miss something. And that's good. You can't be everywhere. And you can't be everything to everyone and also be anything to yourself. Those two things don't align. They just don't. You know what nobody talks about? How exhausting it is to carry everyone's expectations into the holidays. Right now, you're probably already stressed about gifts you haven't bought, or the parties you don't want to attend, or the family dynamics you're pre-managing for events that are weeks away. Drop a yes in the comments if you're already tired thinking about everything between now and the New Year's. If the thought of December makes you want to hibernate until February, subscribe right now because today we're getting permission to release what's crushing you. We are doing emotional decluttering before the year ends and you're about to feel lighter than you have all year. Welcome to Haven Hub Life. I'm Lolly, a life coach and your guide and fellow traveler for strong, high-functioning women navigating life's hardest chapters with dignity and honesty. And each week, we name the quiet struggles, unpack the emotional weight, and explore the shifts that move you towards clarity and what you actually want. You don't need to fix yourself. You just need a way through. It's late November and you're running on fumes, but instead of slowing down, you're speeding up. The mental list keeps growing. Gifts for people you barely talk to. The work project that needs to be perfect before the year ends. The friend's party you said yes to months ago when December felt far, far away. You're holding commitments from the January you that had no idea what the November you would need. You're carrying guilt about things you said you'd do when you thought you had more energy. You're maintaining traditions that stopped bringing joy, 3 years ago. And underneath all of it, this voice says you can't rest yet. You haven't earned it. The house isn't clean enough. The goals aren't met. The weight isn't lost. The promotion wasn't gotten. So rest has to wait until you're worthy of it. Meanwhile, your body is screaming, that eye is twitching and won't stop. And the 3 a.m. wake-up calls when your brain presents you with everything you haven't done and your nervous system is begging for mercy. But you keep pushing because rest feels like failure. It's like that scene in The Holiday when Cameron Diaz literally cannot cry because she's been in productivity mode for so long, she's disconnected from her own emotions. That's where we are. We're too tired to rest, too wired to stop. So here's what's actually happening. You're treating rest like a reward instead of a requirement. Like it's something you get after you've completed everything. Like something you get after you've solved everyone's problem or met every expectation. But you see, that list, it never ends. It regenerates faster than laundry. Now, think about how men rest. They watch football for 6 hours without guilt. They play video games without calling it a waste. They nap without earning it first. They don't need permission or completion or perfection. They just rest. But here you are, bargaining with yourself about whether you deserve to read a book, feeling guilty for watching Netflix when there are dishes in the sink, apologizing for taking a bath like it's an act of rebellion. This isn't about laziness. This is about worthiness programming. Somewhere along the way, you learned that your values come from doing, from giving, from producing. Rest became something for people who've earned it, and the bar for earning it keeps moving higher. Now, remember Lorelai from Gilmore Girls? Well, even in her downtime, she was planning events. She was solving problems. She was managing relationships. Her rest was just productivity in pajamas. That is not rest. That's performance anxiety in comfortable clothes. I worked with someone who literally scheduled rest in her calendar, but then spent the whole time taking calls, making lists of all the things she needed to do instead. She was physically still, but mentally sprinting. Her body was in the bath, but then her brain would be in a board meeting. The truth nobody wants to hear is that you will never be done enough to deserve rest by your current standards. The goalposts will always keep moving. The list will keep growing. And if you wait for permission, you'll wait forever. Now let me give you the permission you won't give yourself. You're allowed to rest without earning it. You're allowed to stop without finishing everything. You're allowed to disappoint people who only value your output. Rest is not luxury, it's maintenance. You don't wait until your car completely breaks down to change the oil. You don't wait until the phone dies to charge it. Yet you're waiting until you collapse to rest. Make it make sense. Here's what you're allowed to release before December. Every commitment you made from obligation instead of desire. The gift list full of people who wouldn't notice if you didn't give them anything. The tradition that everyone complains about but nobody will cancel. The perfect holiday that exists only in Instagram stories. Let it go. Let it go. This permission to release is exactly what we'll be practicing in the December workshop. You'll create your personal release list and get scripts for backing out of commitments without burning bridges. We'll map out what actually deserves your energy this season. The link is going to be in the description. Do this with me live and let's get it done. You're allowed to release the need to explain your rest. You don't need to be sick to say no. You don't need to be in crisis to take a break. You can say I'm not available and that can be a complete explanation. You can say that doesn't work for me and it requires no medical note. Think about Elizabeth Bennet in Pride and Prejudice. She took long walks just because she wanted to. No justification, no productivity attached, just moving her body for the joy of it. That's the energy we need. Now let's get specific about what emotional decluttering looks like. This isn't about doing more to prepare for rest. It's about releasing what's already weighing you down. So first, we look at the commitment inventory. I want you to list everything you've agreed to between now and January. Everything. The coffee dates, the family obligations, all of it. And then now I want you to mark them. Which is filling you up? Which one of them is draining you? Which of them are you doing from guilt? For every guilt-based commitment, you have 3 options. 1, you can cancel it completely. 2, you can modify it to something manageable. Or 3, you can accept it fully without any resentment. But carrying it while hating it, we're not doing that anymore. That's off the table. So here's your script if you want to back out. You can say something like, listen, I've overcommitted and I need to take a step back from some of these things. And I won't be able to make X or do Y or whatever. And I hope you understand. So that is a script where there's no elaborate lie. There's no fake emergency. It's just the truth. The next thing to consider is the expectation release. So what are you expecting yourself to accomplish before the year end? What arbitrary deadline have you created? What measurement of success are you torturing yourself with? Write all of them down. Now, when you've written them down, I want you to cut it in half because it's nearly the end of the year. I'm serious. Take half of those expectations and move them to February or delete them entirely. Like when Parks and Recreation's Leslie Knope finally learned she couldn't do everything perfectly all the time. The world didn't end. In fact, things got better when she stopped trying to control every outcome. But what about guilt, you ask? What about FOMO? What about letting people down? Well, let me tell you about the liberation that comes from disappointing people on purpose. When you release a commitment, someone might be upset. Let them. Their disappointment is not your emergency. When you skip the party, you might miss something. And that's good. You can't be everywhere and you can't be everything to everyone and also be anything to yourself. Those 2 things don't align. They just don't. The permission slip prompts we worked through in the workshop tackle this guilt directly. You'll literally write yourself permission to rest. You'll write permission to release, to disappoint. It sounds simple, but it's profound when you do it with support. So on December 2nd, we're releasing this guilt together. Here's what happens when you start releasing. Space appears. Actual white space in your calendar. Your energy is going to return. It's going to return slowly at first, then in waves. You start to remember what it feels like to wake up without that dread. You rediscover what you actually enjoy versus what you've been enduring. The people who matter will understand. The ones who don't understand don't matter. This sounds harsh, but it's medicine. Your exhaustion has been protecting other people's comfort for way too long. Remember in Eat, Pray, Love when Elizabeth Gilbert just left. She disappointed everyone and found herself. You don't need to fly to Italy, but you do need to stop sacrificing yourself at the altar for other people's expectations. Here's your assignment, and this one's non-negotiable. Cancel 3 things this week. I don't care what they are. 3 commitments that make you tired just thinking about them. Cancel them. Use the script I gave you. Feel that relief. The next thing I want you to do is schedule rest. Real rest, not productive rest. Not rest with conditions, actual doing nothing rest. Put it in your calendar like a meeting with the CEO of your life, because that's what you are. Finally, make a list of what you're not doing this holiday season, like not buying gifts for people who don't appreciate them, or not attending events that drain you, or not cooking elaborate meals nobody asked for, not managing everyone's emotions. Let this be your anti-to-do list. So if you want support releasing what's crushing you, join me on December 2nd for Protecting Your Peace Without Feeling Guilt workshop. We're spending 45 minutes to an hour creating your personal peace plan for the holidays and beyond. We'll do the energy audit to find exactly where your energy is leaking. You'll get the boundary scripts for those difficult holiday conversations, and you'll work through the permission slip prompts to release obligations that aren't yours. You'll also create your boundary map so you know exactly what deserves your energy. You're also going to get the complete boundary reset toolkit and replay access if you can't make it live. The link is in the description, so give yourself the gift of peace before December even starts. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to be empty to refill. You don't have to collapse to stop. Rest is not a reward for the worthy. It's maintenance for the living. So comment below, what are you ready to release before the year ends? What permission do you need to give yourself? This series on selective energy might be ending, but your journey to protecting your peace is just the beginning. Next month, we're talking about soft endings, how to close the year gently without the pressure to transform into a new person by January 1st. Thank you for listening today. If this stirred something in you, send it to somebody who'd get it too. You never know who's holding the same thing quietly. I'm Lolly, and I'll see you next time. Until then, keep choosing yourself. Bye.